It's a little nightmarish clone, I guess, from a European standpoint. The game contains explicit violence, excessive blood, gore. Okay. Yeah, you know, play this, listen to this Little Nightmare. Listen to this Ask a Brother podcast, the ladies' table. Figure out what they think about this Karmelo Anthony situation. There's a lot of jurors that's coming out and talking about it. It's getting to the point to where they saying what they seen. You know what I'm saying? Seen a video of an older white lady. I guess she was on the jury. She said that the stabbing didn't look intentional. I don't know. It's some wild shit going on. But yeah, gotta get this shit popping.
You're watching the ladies' table. Every week, women from different backgrounds, different experiences, and different walks of life come together for an honest conversation. Some perspectives are challenging.
Trying to call straight black men to the table about masculinity and yours is compromised.
Some women laugh.
Well, why would a man want a woman that's claiming the fame is know how to fight? He don't want to fight you.
Come on now.
Some might change.
Frightened by his mother's bedtime story, he searched for his sister's comfort, but she was nowhere to be found.
Chances. Hello. Hello.
You working?
What's today?
Oh shit, it's Monday.
So what you about to do? About to get done with your dogs and come over here? Alright. It's calm. For sure. Just call me when you're on your way, so I can unlock the door. Alright. Let's see. See if I can get immersed. I really just want to watch this and see, listen to this podcast, to be honest. Once the podcast over, shit, I'll be right back on that red dead, gonna finish it up, man. That's gotta die. That's the older sister. She taller than you, boy. That's cheating.
Life is about trade-offs. There's only two options. If you choose one way, you're probably not going to get the other way.
There once was a girl who snuck out of her bedroom window at night, even though her mother had told her not to.
Little hot thought.
Sending into
That was it.
There once was a... She went into the forest, and at first it welcomed her with warmth and a promise of adventures.
They were walking around in the hood.
But soon, the forest seemed to grow colder and darker. The girl was afraid, and she wanted to go home. But Bramble crawled around her arms and legs, and she could not get away. And the girl was never seen again.
Those guys stay in the house.
That is what happens when you do not listen to your mother. Especially you, Lilymore. Their mother had said before kissing them goodnight.
Little hot thought. I want to go out the window too.
The darkness outside scared him.
Didn't scare her though.
But not being with his sister scared him even more.
Ain't gonna lie, it's a nice looking game, man. Photorealism is overrated.
to hurt anyone. My son was defending himself.
It took less than 3 hours for a jury to reject 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony's claims of self-defense in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Prosecutors argued Anthony
But at night, it was a different story.
actually killed Metcalf after being haunted and
There was no trace of Lilymore,
school
and all
track
I wished to ask the pine cones if they had seen her.
take us inside that courtroom. Stuck out to you.
What stuck out to me, number one, was the all-white jury. But I was trying to be, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the truth is on our side.
At the sentencing hearing, the defense called only one witness on Anthony's behalf, his mother, Kayla Hayes.
What'd you do?
I said, have mercy on my son.
What do you say to his grieving family?
It's unfortunate to where nobody wins. We've all been hurt by this. Everybody.
That poor boy is fixing to experience a life that I would not wish upon anyone.
Cap's father, Jeff, called Anthony's sentencing bittersweet.
What it boils down to for me is this. Austin will never walk through that door again and never give me a hug.
The case drew national attention, prompting protests in support of both teens. And both families involved say they've received threats.
This morning, I had multiple emails, texts, threatening me, calling all sorts of names.
During our interview, the Anthonys made a point to call back one man they say continues to dox them.
Why you call me that?
Make fun of you.
Both families urge supporters to tame their emotions.
I forgave him. But people need to understand. Bitch. Vengeance is mine, the Lord. I don't have to come after you. Care of itself. I'm going to see you for who you really are now. If you want to talk individuals, we can, because I couldn't speak about this in court. Speak freely now, because the gag. I'm not going to throw insults at you, because I'm not going to lower myself to your level. Despicable. Drew Anthony, words, wouldn't even show up. Son's sentencing, victim statement impact. You abandoned your kid. There's nothing there. Yes, needs no more use to you because you. Or go fund me, or go send go money.
What the fuck is going on?
Grifters. You should be ashamed of yourself. You raised that child.
The family after the verdict was.
I want you guys to know that I am 6 foot even on this.
Have to take on everything, and this is one of those situations that I am choosing not to take on. I won't get into the weeds, but this is the one thing that this story made me want to share with you guys. It's time as Black people that we begin to play the offense. What do I mean by play the offense? Honestly and truthfully, stay out of the company of white people. That's really all I got. And I'm not trying to imply that all white people are bad, but it is just easier to stay out of the company of white people when you can. Some of y'all wear it as a badge of honor that you send your children to all white schools. That's not a badge of honor that your daughter is the only Black girl in the class. It is just easier to stay out of the company of white.
I quote, Karmelo said, "You will have to move me." Austin put his hand on his back. I saw Karmelo's hand go in the backpack or to track me. I wouldn't expect anything to be in there, Karmelo said. Touch me. You'll have to move me and find out, trying to provoke him. Then what happens? The prosecutor asks. The witness says Austin put his hand on him and falls back. How was Austin trying to move him? The witness says it was him trying to move him off his seat, a soft shove. A 16-year-old witness then testified that, quote, Anthony repeated, "F y'all, I'm not going to leave." He said Anthony also threatened, "Touch me and see what happens," while Metcalf told him, "I'm not going to fight you." And then notably, this was big over the weekend, one of the defense's own witnesses during cross-examination said, quote, "I think Karmelo was in the wrong." Prosecutors added, "Did Karmelo Anthony provoke the confrontation?" The witness answered, "Yes."
Now white boy. See, they not used to this shit happening to them, y'all. My only problem is it should happen more. We should make a day like every Thursday or every Wednesday where we just wake up and fuck up a white girl or a white boy. Just beat their ass. Especially the old ones. Beat their ass, kids. Just beat their ass. Shit's about to change whether they know it or not. They fucking all this shit online, this racist shit. But they gonna have to get out here with us in a minute. And boy, I can't wait the day we beat the fuck out these crackers. They don't stand a chance. Y'all, I said it.
Chimping out. Just nigga everywhere.
And listen, at a time like this, I want you
removing myself from the Karmelo Anthony's case. I am no longer involved with the family. And here's why. I was starting to feel like I was being used for my influence and my connections and resources. When I tell you we raised over $1 million one day, privately, quietly, they wanted to start another GoFundMe. I said, no, I'm not doing the GoFundMe. After we paid for the pill, no. The extra money don't go back to you. It goes back to the people who gave it. It don't go to nothing else. It's for the pill. His daddy in the way. I don't like weak. I hate weak men.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Ladies Table. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. I'm going to introduce our lady and jump straight into things. First off, we have Miss Anita Stylmeyer from Better Love Movement, Crimson Cure. And then we have a new guest with us, panelists today. We have Miss Red Talk. Anna, what's going on, Anna?
Nice. Glad to be here.
So there's been a lot of discussions, reactions. It's been all over the news. Me and the guys talked about it at the men's table on last Wednesday. And I've been trying to kind of set the tone of what it is that we could potentially go in terms of different directions. As we saw, we heard from Austin's father. We heard from the parents of, the mother specifically, as for,
Let us play, little brother. Lilimore babbled. See if you can knock down this pine cone.
We've seen all types of reactions from both sides. Who seen it as a reason to be racist. Even side is racist. Where do y'all think? How are y'all feeling about this whole situation? What would potentially have been some of the, actually anybody could
I mean, this is two different ways. Both of them are affected. People went out with their race.
Oh my. Okay. So something happened.
two different. I mean, this is two different families. Both of them are affected. People went out with their rage and said what they wanted to say, regardless if it hurts people or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean in terms of like just the overall reactions and what people are saying? Yeah, I can definitely see a little bit of that. I've definitely put out the question, and a couple people I've seen kind of say it, like if different people that's passionate on both sides feel the same way, if the races were different. If everything stayed exactly the same and the races just switched. No, I don't. I think the majority of people most passionate about both of these perspectives. That's my opinion. I definitely want to know what y'all think. That if Karmelo is the one who had gotten stabbed and killed, I don't. I don't believe most of the people who are rooting for him right now, fighting for some white man to get lesser time or no time at all.
They tumbled down
in the self-defense, I
deeper and
don't.
deeper through the old ruin.
But I also don't see what the pattern comes to Rittenhouse, to George Zimmerman, my perspective. And they tend to do that early before they've even found out evidence. And some of these guys, like Zimmerman, they get treated like rock stars.
Follow me,
They
little
end
brother.
up taking the life
I will
of a black
protect you,
person.
Lillimore said.
Sign my Skittles, you gotta come to this
She
event.
was
So
never scared like him.
I think a lot of people that would have rooted for George Zimmerman,
more like his sister.
I just don't. I think that,
Lillimore loved adventures, and Ulle loved
we
Lillimore.
want to pretend that race isn't a factor at all in this. But I also don't want to take away from the fact of specific decisions probably done differently just by both of these individuals. We wouldn't even be talking about this situation. But Crimson and Anita, what y'all?
But I'm gonna try to condense it now. To the question of would we be feeling the same way if the roles was reversed, my opinion has been this: if Karmelo had been in Austin's position and Austin had been in Carmelo's position, black people would not be advocating for Austin, they would be blaming Karmelo. Why was he over there bothering Austin? He should have been minding his business. Why did he go over there? That boy did not have to get out of that tent. He was over there picking fights because he's bigger than somebody. So, it's unfortunate that he died, but he should not have been going over there messing with people. That's what people would have said about Carmelo. No, they would not have been trying to advocate for Austin necessarily. But Carmelo would have got blamed for being the initiator and the aggressor and the person who started the confrontation in the first place, regardless of how it escalated. So that's my opinion on that. The second opinion is that it is unfortunate how people have responded. Both sides, right? But the thing that I have is, as a black person in this country, I'm not going to wear no jacket that I didn't make and buy and put on. I am not going to be apologizing for every wayward sentence that a black person said about this case. Just like the video that you showed where it was coming out and they said, well, you glad your son did. That's crazy to say to somebody.
It is.
But I'm also not going to be the person that I have to be apologetic for somebody else. She said that. Whoever that was, she said that. I didn't say that. And most of the conversation that has been going on social media, I have not met too many black people that express that type of sentiment. I mean, of course, you probably can find it, but that in my just watching these conversations unfold, that has not been the majority sentiment of black people concerning this case. The other thing, and I'll land, is the hypocritic moral high ground. What I mean by that, Austin Metcalf's father and other white people decided that
Gnomes are
it is
peculiar
wrong
and
morally
playful creatures.
for black people to have any objection to any
They live
aspect of
peacefully
it,
in daylight
even if you
and
want
keep
to
in their
say,
houses
because
at
this has
night.
also been the majority of the conversation.
Visitors
Majority
that
of black
don't want
people
to
in the
eat them are
conversation
unheard
don't
of
think that he was not
until
guilty
this
and
day.
should have walked away. Most think that the charge was a little too high and it probably should have been manslaughter given the circumstances, and maybe charged him accordingly. So in essence, most black people think that the charge was inappropriate. Mostly. Of course, you have some that say, oh, well, he should have walked away because it was self-defense. At the end of the day, a child lost his life. Someone lost their lives. So there has to be some kind, unless you just, circumstances really don't call for those consequences, some type of consequences. Most black people think that there should have been some type of jail time or punishment or something like that. But the last part of that hypocritical, white people ride for the Derek Chauvins, the George Zimmermans. Anytime one of theirs come out and do something crazy, they get together and ride for that. And they don't feel ashamed of that. They don't care what nobody else think about that. They be like, nope. They did the whole hoodie thing, the Skittle thing, dressing up for Halloween, the knee on the neck thing. They did all of that. Group. So if we have to wear a collective jacket, so do they. We either all gonna be individuals and judged on our individual things that we've done and said, or we gonna all be judged as a group, but we gonna be judged together.
I appreciate that. What about you, Anita?
I mean, there are no winners. One who prides themselves on being able to think dialectically, being able to understand that two things can be true at the same time. There are no winners. No one won. It's a sad situation all around. Is looking to kind of what we're seeing now in the culture, and we're just looking for someone to blame. It's exhausting. It's exhausting being online, being a content creator, and that is kind of just the main thing all the time. Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? It is absolutely exhausting. But at the end of the day, two young boys, lives were changed forever. One of them found, the other one put in prison. And there are no winners. There are no winners. I believe the adults in this case didn't do any of the boys any justice. Besides, I don't think the Metcalf family or any family. Oh, that kind of failed, but it's just unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. No one wants either one of those outcomes for their 17-year-old son.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Crimson, going back to your initial point of if the roles reverse, most people, or particularly black people, would have aimed for initiating that. That's definitely possible. And I guess the argument could be that the minority of individuals who are saying have done something different, they may have also made that argument. What I wonder is how the media and track record when it comes with media's track record when it comes to like riling things up and really getting folks to really pay attention to a case. They need good element that kind of divides the nation. And if like all the people that's rocking with in this as a open and shut case on the behalf of Austin, I don't know that the media would have spun it in a way. They're kind of pushing it, and the commentators and everybody's basically saying like it's on Karmelo. I think that ahead how it's historically been, I tend to see it kind of go along racial lines when it comes to stuff like this. But again, I could be wrong. I think my observation has been often than not, and MSNBC and Fox gets involved, going to spin it, or it keeps everybody engaged. One side hates it, the other. I mean, one side has one view, the other side has the exact opposite polar view, and they know that's what gets the views. So it would be interesting to see. I mean, I guess we'll never really know, but in my head, the missing piece is probably how the media would try to frame it. The track record is the media usually wants people to pick a side. So, you know, that would have been interesting. But what's going on, Mika? What's happening, Miss Messy Conservative?
I'm good, thank you, and hello to everybody on the panel.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Everything is everything. Working. Just got off my live stream and trying to conserve my voice because I was at the UFC fight yesterday.
Oh yeah. You was down in DC. That looked lit, by the way. I still haven't been to a UFC fight myself.
Never been one.
We're covering it from both angles as it comes to both families, totally different perspectives, the racial elements to it. You know, each of us are kind of giving our initial thoughts about kind of how to interpret this, still respecting the families and you know, even people's particular for this. When you watched everything that you saw and the reactions on both sides, what came to mind for you in terms of how people are viewing this, or even how the situation potentially?
How people are viewing Karmelo?
Everything. Yeah, the case, I think the sentencing, just even the overall reactions. You know, like Crimson said, I'm not going to apologize for every black person that says something outlandish, and white people aren't feeling like they need to do the same either. I think people are kind of into what they believe, and each side or different groups definitely have very strong, you know, feelings about them.
Well, that it's a shame that we couldn't just settle this in the beginning, right? So I do remember when Jeff Metcalf came to, you know, pray and meet with the family, and I wish the father had stepped up instead of Dominique guy. I wish the father, and I think he's the stepdad, but nevertheless he's the father in the household. But I wish he had stepped up, because I think it would have been a better outcome. When a dad, man, you know, is front, I think you have that covering, right? And you have someone there that speak to the situation, speak logically, speak to going on with the son. He knows how the father feels. He knows how, you know, another man might feel about the situation. So I just thought that should have been kept in the family. So that was one thing. The other thing that I saw was that the Dominique gentleman just made everything about race. People think F is a racist, some don't. Just feel like, regardless, he didn't lead with that. And when you're doing it's like this, you need to have empathy. You at least, even if you don't, I would hope someone would, but even if you don't, you need to at least seem like there's some type of remorse there. Just everything just came off of we don't care and we're going to win this. And I think they were doing a lot of things. Would have did it probably back in 2020, went off that whole type of, you know, BLM vibe, or this wrong by this. I just really think they did the wrong, whether or not they like the Metcalfs, whether or not they think he's racist or not. Just looking at the situation for my son, I would have approached it differently.
Yeah, and you know what I'm showing on the screen in terms of some of the quotes that Mr. Metcalf had said, you know, in his passion, and finally getting to react, or maybe say how he really felt now that the hearing's over and the sentencing is done. The things that everybody was talking about over the weekend was this watermelon felon comment, which is obviously racist. That's not hard. I think the question is whether or not people think is justified to feel that way off of what happened to his child. Like for me, I don't personally see it as that hard to see that it is racist. I'm wondering what you all think. Well, obviously, Mika, you're not really sure that you see it that way. But for the other three ladies, Anna, Crimson, and Anita, this is a grieving father who obviously lost his son, and we're definitely going to hop into the weeds of maybe son and potentially what Karmelo could have done different. Face value, if you had a chance to listen to what he had to say, the comments that he made come off racist to you? And if so, why? We can start with Anna.
Definitely came off different ways. I think people's true feelings came out. When he didn't say none of that because he said he had a gag order against them. Say, people are inherently racist sometimes. He didn't say none of that. He wasn't talking nowhere near how he was talking in that interview, which I get it. It was his son. The bring out anger? Yes. Did he mean it? He definitely did.
What about you, Crimson and Anita?
I was disappointed, and here's a very interesting take, though. I think the dad played the long game. I think he was smart to hide his true thoughts and feelings. And it was completely inappropriate, but he was smart in that wasn't his immediate reaction. He could have saw that reaction that we saw over the weekend from day one. He kind of played the long game. He waited till everything was said and done, and then he told us how he really felt. So, yes, completely, do I want to use the word racist? Okay. But it was smart in the sense of kind of how he's handled this. Saying that he forgave Karmelo. Like that was technically smart that he did that, and that he tried to show up to the families, show up there, and they asked him to leave. Like, to me, he kind of played the long game. So at the end of the day, if this is who he really is, okay. But in that regard, he was smarter than them. They could have played a similar game and things differently, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, we're going to touch back on that. And then what about you, Crimson?
He had a gag order. If he was smart, he would have never recorded himself and put it on social media at any time, because Karmelo's family has an option to appeal this case.
Yeah.
So if he was actually smart, he would have had that rant in his kitchen. The rest of his family. Got that off his chest. And rave all you want to. I don't care that he's racist. He is one. And everybody saying, oh, well, you will feel some type of way.
Come on.
The death of his child does not put those sentiments in your heart if they are not there. You may not like that particular individual.
Oh my.
Saying you might not because Karmelo, you deleted your child ball. He put it on social media. He had two scotches on the rocks and set that tripod up and got in front of it and ran his mouth. Whether or not that has any consequences for the appeal that Karmelo's family is trying to do, that'll be no.
He just wanted to find Lily.
Whether or not that'll have an effect. But as far as that's just what was going on with him, that's just what's going on with him.
But to do
It
that,
is what it is. I'm not
you had
surprised
to find where the big troll had
at
taken
all.
her.
I actually agree with those sentiments, and I actually agree with both of you, and in the sense of smart, like you said, Crimson, for him to ever put it out on social media, as far as going that far with some of the comments, at least waiting until the trial ended, yeah, I do, because there was a strong possibility that the word got back to the jury somehow. Him feeling truly this way, knows how much they would have reevaluated his son's actions in the environment that he was coming out of. Where, maybe they can be like, well, listen, father feels like this strongly about blacks or whatever, or whatever. Maybe there's a world where his son thought that he had the authority to put his hands on Major to make him move or leave an area that he really couldn't. So that's definitely interesting. But I wanted to ask you all a simple, straightforward question. Do this first. Austin Metcalf, if he had minded his business, he had let an adult teen, he'd still be alive. All agree to that. Austin Metcalf tried to put his hands on this boy, on Anthony. If he never tried to get physically him, I'm not going to say how strong the push was. I'm not going to talk about anything else. If Austin Metcalf had just, he said, hey, you got to leave the tent. Kid kept going back and forth. Or went to an adult and let the adult sort it out. Would still be alive. Question then, with that aside, is there anything in your opinion that Karmelo Anthony could have done different, or people that saying what he did justified? The people who says what he did was justified are arguing that anybody that says he could have done something different is selling out. And then I keep hearing, you say that this 17-year-old could have done anything different. Different skills, different strategies, different techniques of any kind. Selling out to the system, selling out to white people. Question is, to you all, could he have done something different? If so, what could he have done? Or do you agree with those that says he couldn't have done anything different?
He should have not brought the knife. Used his choices the way. He could have said something.
He could have said more communicative, right? He's not communicating. The same thing that they're saying that Austin could have went and did, got an adult. If you felt like wrong for getting kicked out the tent because rain or whatever he was getting kicked out for, an adult as well.
The knife and both boys could have just the intermediary. Okay. And real quick before I forget, everybody that's currently watching, if you haven't done so, make sure you're following everybody you see on the page on this current screen. Like this, and please share it with at least 2, 3, 4, or even. But we do have at least 2 super chats to start. Inspirational Truth was one of my guy. He said, "Don't forget Daniel Perry got fame and a job." I believe that was a gentleman in New York with the train situation, if I recall. And that was definitely a split in the nation. Without a view that as well. But thank you, sir, for the $199. Also, High Tolerance, $2,500, $20. Good evening, Jeff, for popping up. Can't walk a mile in Jeff Metcalf's shoes. On the other hand, I'm sure we've heard and said worse in our life. Grace extended. Yeah, it's definitely tough.
Oh my God.
Definitely tough to tell people how to grieve and how to feel when it comes to stuff like this. I've seen too many in cases like this. I've grieved and they never. They were angry. They could have even hated the person that did what they did. But I don't.
Jeff,
I barely
they did
ever
that if you look outside, right?
Hmm?
Outside when the Metcalf family came out the courtroom.
Yeah.
People saying, your other son should be dead. Okay. With him too. There were people saying the only good cracker is a dead cracker. I mean, all of it kosher. Both sides. And I did cover it. And what I saw, teenage boys. Everybody here has been in high school. But I do know in my experience, which wasn't that long ago, boys do this in what they call, a pissing match. They do this with each other. They're in the height of, puberty, trying to find out who they are. I don't know if it was girls under the I don't know what was going on under there. Do know these are boys. So, different element there. And we don't look at first, and we always go to race. Things don't get addressed. There's also some things that can be said on both sides about how they both act. So many things that could have been addressed, and they don't get to get addressed because everything is about racism instead of how boys are acting today, because it's not very stoic. It's not very, everything is emotional. Everything is emotional. So it just goes to show you what's going on. And then I questioned the dad. I didn't know why the dad wasn't doing anything, and then come to find out that it's the stepdad. So I'm like, oh, okay, because usually, I'm sorry, in a lot of those homes, dad does not get a say. That's my kid. You don't get the... Oh, who knows what's going on in the house? So I'm just saying, when you put that, you block out other things that could be happening that you can address with both sides.
You other two ladies. And then back to the initial question of, could anything else have been done different? People who saying he acted justifiably, correct. He couldn't have done anything else. Other than that.
Played in his emotions.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You know what? Let me do this real quick. Speak from a personal lens. Worked in prison, schools, and an outpatient setting in the hood in 3 different urban areas and cities. In Austin's and Karmelo's, it's normal. In fact, the reason why you're coming in contact with them is because they could get in trouble, getting in physical altercations. They're doing the robbing or getting robbed. They're bullying or being bullied. There's something going on that warrants them even to have to come into contact. Or school counselors or social workers. So this is like baseline normal. And Anita, you said something when we were talking about the graduation thing about arrested development. Learn. Even focus the mindset of women, how this thing could be handled, understand what it was like for a teenage boy that's growing up. Concern is not that these 2 teenage boys got into this pissing match. You could say that's normal. My first day of high school at East West Hampton, New Jersey was the first day of school. Listen, y'all think I'm making it up. Beat down, it was the first day of school year, and we were told in middle school about what was coming. So my mind was weird as we weren't approaching it in our heads as of, I gotta bring these weapons with me because I ain't gonna jump. It was, how do I smartly navigate the first day of school to make it out of here without a black eye or something else? When you get to these boys, that concern is less about them. Or is it more about the 30, 40, and 50-year-old guys? Any other scenarios, any other options, any other strategies. Especially the boy that looks like them could have done different. Argument is this. System is as racist as you claim. Court system is as racist as you. If the justice system is rigged and as racist as you claim it to be.
I agree.
Teaching your sons of that how to move, ignore that, and then act and do whatever it is you feel like doing in the moment. For instance, when the cops pull you over, black male that's 16, 17 years old, move in light of the possibility of being racist and how you conduct yourself, and you're going to say, I can say what I want, act how I want, and then when consequences happen as a result, everybody gets to debate about whether it was racist or not. My view is, feel like we're having a conversation collectively, keep talking about how bad and evil and racist the system is. We keep running to the system and putting our freedom in the hands. The very system we're claiming is the issue. Instances when unavoidable. Something comes up, it happens, it's split second.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if witness testimony that I've read and looked into so far, a few minutes. Karmelo Anthony had every right to stay there and sit there and not be touched. Up until an adult who had the authority to do so told him to leave, he was right in sitting. Be true. Was it wise for him to do so? Not. Then after one or two, I think if I recall, Austin was charged of the 10, reportedly, and he was supposed to not let competing teams and other students or youth that's not part of school or their team or whatever under the 10. From what I heard, but it was not his responsibility to put his hands on anybody. So for me, it's one of those that went south. Telling young black boys that 17 years old, I'm 30, 40, 50 years old, and I have the same mentality as a 17-year-old boy, that probably explains why a third of our men have records. It explains why a whole host of things. Because I'm like, you guys aren't the ones on the inside who have to meet with Karmelo's like I did in the prison. The guys that are in the prison, they're young, or that's wasted most of their life. Ask the simple question, bro. If you could go back, would you do it different? Hell yeah, I would do it different. I would have left. I'd have did this or do that, and I'm like, and I don't think that they're cowards. Acknowledging like, the move that I made was probably the worst case scenario, and those that grew up in Philly, those that worked in Philly, those that grew up in Camden, Wilmington, etc., most guys I knew carried weapons. Y'all think every time a situation like this unfolds, guys are grabbing weapons. You're crazy. All of us have carried weapons, knives. I've carried guns. God, I didn't use them even when I felt threatened. College days. I almost got expelled from my college university. He had a verbal threat to me. And 3 knives on me. 2 decent sized one, and then the big one. Security came and separated us when we came into contact. Went into the dean's office, and they opened up my backpack and dumped out all these knives. Worry anymore about the initial threat he made. To decide if I was going to be removed from the premises and expelled after 4 years of college. What I'm arguing is, anybody that thinks that Karmelo maybe could have done nothing different, my only suggestion is, things as racist and as systemic racism and everything you say, why don't we behave like we believe is true?
Oh, wow. Damn.
Just a thought. You really, truly believe it. Question number, what do you do, Jeff? Every time somebody says something to you, you can walk away, walk away. There were times I didn't walk away and somebody grabbed me. Thank the Lord. I have 20-plus-year-old friends that are still holding on to me. And saying, Jeff, let's just move and just leave. There's been people when I was irrational that spared my life from making a really stupid decision. This was one of those situations. People around him to kind of grab him or redirect him, he may have had an alternative thought than the one he had, which is, I'm going to stay here until somebody put there. Anita, do anything different? Should you have done anything different, or it is what it is? What do y'all think?
could have done something different. Always have some kind of choice. Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
Most of the time we have a choice. If there was any opportunity for him to from where they were, and it would have been wise for him to do so. And I said it on my show. Karmelo's probably thinking very much, rewinding that in his head, like, what could I have done differently? Because what I don't like is painting him like he a thug. This was a good kid. This was not.
His history didn't say he was a thug.
I doubt that he was just some irrational. He was raised in a two-parent home. He had very good grades. They're saying he saved a life a couple of years prior to this incident selflessly. So I don't think that this was some type of boy that would go out looking for problems, because he had not caused problems until then. If you're a troublemaker, you're a troublemaker. Start that young if you can. So, of course, things could have done differently if other choices had been made. If Karmelo had went and got a coach and said, I was invited up in, and it was raining. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to chill until the rain stops and I will go. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Then, of course, other choices would have been made. I understand probably why he did not make that choice to just because, like we were saying earlier, these are 17-year-old boys that are in a proverbial pissing match. Do he want to be the punk? The other boy don't want to be the punk. The other boy don't want to be punked out. Why should Karmelo want to be punked out? He will leave. Why? What you gonna do? You make me leave? You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. I mean, looking at it from our 30-something, 40-something-year-old position, what we would have done. Hey, we Monday morning quarterback, you a whole, you don't won the Super Bowl. If you Monday morning quarterback, of course you would see all the plays and how they didn't work out and what you would have done differently, and you know, this, that, and the third. At the same time, you know, like I said, could have been other choices could have been made, but at this point, coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's coulda, woulda, shoulda for both of them.
Nah, listen, I agree from both sides. And again, that's the worst part about it. The worst thing that happened wasn't the 35-year sentence. Somebody ended up dead, and they both moved out of ego, pride, impulse control was ridiculous. And this is what I mean when it comes to, by the time they're getting to me at 17 and they haven't learned these lessons, this is why, like, I'll phrase it differently.
Oh,
and Crimson, what you just said, you're saying we're looking at the lens of 30, 40, 50-year-old. The issue is those men are the men that I'm looking at on social media. They're looking at this through the lens as if they are still 17. They're still talking as if every time somebody says something you don't like, get in your face, or even have gotten physical. First impulse, like, do you understand how many school fights there are? Yeah. And imagine how many kids, if they had this mentality. What I'm basically saying is there's two demographics right now in the country that are showing propensity for doing this in two separate ways. The first group is white males when it comes to mass shootings, and the second is black males when it comes to incidents like this. There's something going on where a lot of these boys are coming from either environments, homes, or there's a socialization of,
oh shit,
you say you're a punk, you a sellout, you this, you that, if you walk away. And I'm going to argue we're training these boys in this society and culture to think ego and your pride and in no business and maintaining social equity and respect, that's worth more for life and your freedom. That's how it's coming off. and it's like we as boys grow up that way, and now we're seeing it in real time. Crimson, what you think? Go ahead, push it back.
If we think that the system is so biased and blah, blah, why do we put ourselves at its mercy, essentially? I get the sentiment, right? You don't always have to do this, that, and the third, talk this way or act this way, but I think most of the time, most black men know that, and they escalating situations. One thing I noticed about black men, and I noticed is that black men typically have an affable, amicable energy when they are in public. And the bigger they are, or the more masculine energy they have, the more affable they get. That, in my opinion, has been a defense mechanism. Because black men understand how they are seen. They're going to be what they do almost. They're going to be the aggressor no matter what. So many black men, and I know black men who really you shouldn't mess with, get into situations, and I know it irked their soul, and they would smile and be like, you know what? I'll walk away. I'm not even going to say nothing.
Go ahead, Messi, and then Anna.
Okay, so that same point, one thing that I saw is I don't think it's I kind of I did a video on it that
thought I was dead.
What he was saying and doing and what ended up happening.
King
And
Corn, you dead.
I did see that it's that household. So the mother. Reason why I say the mother is because how the grandmother herself, and then the family in the parking lot. And it's women, just the women. Someone would ask a question, they're throwing stuff at them. Just all types of nonsense. Everything is out of emotion. Knowing that the media is out there, knowing that anything can happen. You're at the courthouse. There are police officers out there, right? Altercations can happen, all that stuff. Looking at it, saying 17-year-old boy, child. Usually, they won't depart from it. So, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, yeah, he's been taught boys are a lot more, they can handle conflict resolution a little better than females can, especially at that age. But then that should have been a fight, instead of been a stabbing.
Hold on, real quick. In household, back, and Crimson kind of alluded to this, and I'm going to see, Mika, what you think. The same household that produced him not having any issues prior.
He did have issues prior.
I didn't find out about that. Like what?
Yeah, he did have issues prior, and it's crazy because I think on both sides they're pulling a lot of videos down. Yeah, he did have issues prior. I don't think it's the issues with the school. I think it's the issue in the household. Stepdad, his dad is in jail. Don't know how long she's been with that man. Means there could be a gap in between her being the mom raising him by herself and himself. But I've never seen a press conference or even if you look at the difference between Jeff Metcalf and his wife and the Anthony family. Have you heard the mom speak until now?
To be fair, I hadn't heard anything.
Absolutely.
Hold on. What I'm going to say is I didn't hear from the father of Austin until weekend. I didn't hear
Jeff Metcalf has been speaking the entire time.
I I didn't know this. I thought he was the gag order. I hadn't heard.
No, when I say speak, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about on particulars of the case. I'm talking about speaking up for the family.
Okay.
It's been Dominique and the mom. The father has been standing in the back the entire time.
I mean, I guess my initial point is enough information.
Who is ruling? Who is out? Like I said, the time that I see, I don't see when dad. I rarely see that man that's not his. Be a separate case. You can't say nothing to that child.
Oh,
that child is off to the side. And if it's a boy, it's even worse.
Yeah, there's that dynamic. What I want to be careful with from blaming any of the parents on either side is not.
But we've already been doing that, because when I came in, we were talking about that Jeff Metcalf was racist.
Yeah, so there's a difference between saying a statement he made was racist, which it was, versus saying he's the reason why his son is dead. And I think that's two. No,
I'm not saying that's the reason why he stabbed him. What I'm telling you, there is an environment that people live in that fosters certain types of things that go on.
Was getting at was the same way none of us on the panel were saying that there was the reason for why his son is in the situation he's in. I'm not going to go as far with such limited information when what the legal advice was given to the family on what they could or couldn't speak on, what strategy they were going to use. I have no idea. All I knew was, again, you know more information than me of additional trouble he apparently got involved in. Obviously, if they did a good job of hiding that, most don't know. Oh, for me, it was like, he's doing pretty well with school, apparently, with his grades, and he's on pace to be able to go to college soon. He is an athlete, and I didn't find out any record. Now, if we say he had issues that just never made to legal, that's sure. But if he's hitting a lot of his other marks, the mom, who apparently didn't have a biological dad, she also has to get the credit for that too. That's where I was coming from, where it's like, I don't know enough about either of their parenting styles or either end to go to the length of saying, now that dynamic you said, it's a stepfather involved and there's boys being raised especially, and uncommon to hear that father doesn't have as much say as a father would if he was the biological father. That's normal. That could be expected. We could assume that. But Anna, why don't you jump in here real quick, and then Anita, because I know we haven't heard from you. What were you about to say?
I was going to say, social media and cameras, we was talking about lenses. Nobody wants to lose a fight because nobody wants to be seen like society when they was fighting. Nobody wants to be looking at like, look at you taking this L. So that has changed the way that it's fight. Kids don't want to fight. They don't even want to take a chance of taking that loss. And you got the crowd. Most people, if you have two people going at each other, a lot of times they won't fight if nobody's around. The crowd and the cameras. So, sometimes, people be like, well, why don't they just fight? Fight no more, because people don't want to take an L sometimes. They don't. And that both of them wasn't regulating their emotions. I was talking about both of them.
I just need to come in real quick. Draco, appreciate you, brother. Anybody watch the father's rant? It was about 3 hours long. He made most of the points going on in this discussion. He doesn't care who hears his message. All people looking for is a viral moment. Let me help you out, watermelon felon. Oh, okay. I don't know if social media, I don't know if the nature of social media is also changing how people are engaging with this stuff. Between social media, maybe a whole bunch of people who wouldn't have seen it back in the day now are made aware of it. Anna said about the way we approach fights now, especially amongst boys. Wants to just do a fair one anymore. In this scenario, the argument is that there was more than that he had to worry about. That seems to be conflicting reports. But I do appreciate you, Drake, for the $50. And then also, Rod, thank you for the $9.99. I tell my sons bad decisions lead to bad outcomes. Karmelo made a series of bad decisions, like carrying a knife. Austin made a bad decision touching Karmelo. Bad decisions cost both of them lives. Anita, what you think?
I think that the young man, in the heat of the moment, definitely made a bad decision. Do I think it was premeditated? Meaning, you know, when he woke up that morning, his intention was to strike back at the Metcalfs. Let's go with the whole he was bullied. Let's go with that story. That the Metcalfs were bullying him, or they had altercations or run-ins prior. I think that he got up that morning intention of either striking back or killing one of them. No, I don't. I think he, unfortunately, he put that knife in his bag, and he may not have had any intention that he had it once the altercation happened. And I could use the decision. He made a bad decision.
Lemus might be big.
And that decision could have been stabbing him in his gut, stabbing him in his shoulder. Like you said, you know, not wanting to be a punk. That's what I tell my children.
All he longed for
a call
was
on
a
your
friend.
life.
Face
All I ever want you to think about. This idea about what man thinks about you down here on earth, and what they're going to say about you walking away, about you not fighting back, about you.
It seemed like he had found
Now, that's it regardless. God has put a call on your life. Have something to lose. You should act like it. So I have a 23-year-old son, never gotten in trouble, never even gotten a speeding ticket. Because that is what I tell my own children. I want you to remember that. Okay? That there is something you were put here to do. God willing, you're going to live your whole life to do it. Idea of, you know, we got to strike back, or we can't let people push us around or take advantage of us. I mean, there are lots of ways to do that other than physically. But that part I really can't get with. I really can't. I don't understand that at all. And I agree with you 100%, Jeff. I said the same thing in my video. Stay out of the judicial system. That's it. My dad is 84 years old and has never a day in his life not even had a parking ticket. Possible to stay out of the judicial system. If you believe it to be so racist and so unfair, then stay out of it. Do everything in your power to stay out of the judicial system. That, in my humble opinion, is what you can, for the most part.
Yeah, and again, does that cover 100% of the people who have ended up in jail? Obviously not. Right. And does that cover all the people who's ever been falsely accused or arrested? Nope. Of course not. What I'm hinting at is maybe we have to figure out a way to talk to boys and youth sooner. Do two things. First is getting them used to fighting. I know this sounds crazy, but getting them used to actual combat. When they're so scared of taking a punch, so scared of physical altercations. So in essence, because they didn't do boxing, self-defense classes, they didn't do anything that would warrant them actually having a calmer demeanor, because they know how to de-escalate, and they even know how to they know how to choke people out. They know how to do a whole like people who are trained with that stuff. It's that their first impulse isn't to fight. How to train for it. They've taken some things. I think a lot of our youth, our boys, the only time they're ever put in a situation where they have to like really do that is like in the moment. If you're not trained on certain things and you're waiting till an emergency or something happens, to try to apply skills you've never
And it
practiced.
felt like it was
I think
his
that's the
sister's
first
way
issue.
of telling him he was on the right path.
Second issue for me is kind of what everybody said up until this point. A version where these boys don't know what an option is of challenging me, and I'm freaking out. I'm scared. It's either fight or flight, and I'm not allowed to flight. I'm not allowed to run because of how everybody's going to see me. And then everybody got their phones out. So what does it mean? We got to normalize boxing matches for the boys, like actual normalizing recreational and saying, I'll challenge you to a fair one over here. Then there's no weapons. Three boys not going to take the offer. I's not going to take the offer. The idea that when somebody says they're going to fight you, and you say, all right, meet me at the ring at this day, this time. I'll be waiting for you. I'm not going. Now you put the onus on the person who's now maybe the initiator. Saying he's going to fight you a fair one. He's going to do it off school grounds, in a sanctioned way, so that nobody gets in trouble and we can walk away from it. You're scared to fight hands, or you want to jump him. I think that kind of puts the onus back on the other party that maybe has the wrong intentions. There is no perfect strategy. I think those are two that perhaps we need to lean in more on.
I agree.
What about you, Meek? What do you think? Sorry. Go ahead, Crimson. I know you meant to go ahead, Crimson, and then Mika.
I want to speak to a whole bunch of stuff. I got some pushback for trying to paint a narrative about what Karmelo's home life might have been like. We don't have that information. We don't know what kind of house he was raised in. We don't know what they were doing. We have no idea what they were and were not doing. It's casting aspersions and making a whole lot of assumptions based on very little, if real, actual, substantiated information about his family, or for that matter, Jeff's family and Austin's family. We can speculate all day, but that doesn't really help anybody. It doesn't help things to say that Karmelo was a problem child. We just didn't know it. And his whole life was problematic. We just didn't know that. That to me is neither here nor there. And it opens up a can of worms that I don't think anybody needs to really open up, because like I said, the general public, we don't really have a lot of that information anyway to make the assumption about a case where an incident occurred, somebody lost their life, another boy went to jail for it. He already about to do 35 years. If he was a troublemaker, that would have been part of the smear campaign. We would have known about. We would have known about he was a troublemaker in the school. Right. He's always doing something. He's always this and that. We would have known about that, because nobody would have spared him the indignity of having it be public, because everybody see him as the wrongdoer and in the situation anyway. That would have just served with opinion. Look at how crazy this boy is, and no wonder he ended up doing this, because look, stuff that he do. The other thing that I wanted to speak on before we move on, again, was the concept of keeping yourself out of trouble. For keeping yourself out of trouble. All for keeping yourself out of trouble. You gotta be smart. You gotta move smart. You cannot always avoid things that life come to you and bring to you. Values are being challenged. My unshakable boundaries being crossed. You're gonna have a problem out of me. Because we should all know the King gave us the blueprint of non-violence does not spare you from violence. It does not, taking a high road does not spare you when they don't want you to be spared. It doesn't. There's a balance to be reached. And take the high road, this is not worth it for me to out about. There are things to crash out about. I have to lose my freedom up until my life to do so. I gotta get up out of here anyway. Nobody lives forever. Don't breathe forever. Nobody. Getting out of here alive. I promise you that. Nobody. Like I'm saying, I'm sorry to be so passionate about it. My life experience is in the way that I've been taught, the way that I've been up. Balance to that.
Yep.
You do have to move smart. Everything can't be a blow up in a confrontation. It should be, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of common sense. Growing up in the hood teach you that actually. Because you be in survival mode a lot. Every confrontation, it can't be a confrontation all the time. You do have to let it slide off your back, water off a duck's back, and you might have to grit your teeth to do that. That's not easy all the time. At the same time, I've also had where I'll go down today. Do it today.
Oh my God!
What do we want to do? What exactly do we want to do? Because this thing you're not gonna do to me. It's 100 things to do. Everybody done did 99 of them. We had thing 100. You're not gonna get 100. You're gonna do it. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit militant.
No.
Understood that.
No, listen. I appreciate everybody's different perspectives, and I think this is why it's so important. I agree with you. Situation aren't close in response, but every situation can't be avoided, or you can walk away either. Problem is, the younger our boys are, they only feel like they only have one of those options. Everything as nothing. Shit. Well, when we were Jersey, man, not Beverly. I think it was Beverly. We were at a basketball court. My cousins were in town for 4th of July. We're all in high school, and my cousins could not go away, because this guy was looking at him funny. He could not. Of how long it took for us to get him and everybody else out of the basketball court area. Cops came out there. He pulled up right before our family pulled up to pick us up, because when we start trying to walk away, they started a group of guys started following us. Frank pulling out book bags. So my lens and my view is like, we don't even know the scenarios when we should walk away, and it's too late.
Oh shit!
And what you're saying, I think it's 100% true. This is when we can't walk away, but I think a lot of us as boys and men growing up, we see a lot of situations as that. We see a lot of situations like he stepped on, out because somebody stepped on their shoes. This is not crazy, unusual. Like, I've seen this stuff. Treating that situation like somebody's actually, really endangering your life. And I'm like, or it's because of respect, or this or that. So let me get to some super chats real quick. I'll wrap things up. And I appreciate everybody with their honest views and opinions on this. And it's not about us agreeing as much as hear a legitimate argument from whatever side it is that, tackle that you're trying to tackle. HVAC, thank you for the $20. This exact situation almost happened to me at 20 over spoiling Avengers Endgame. Yeah, shout out to Marvel at that time. It was with a white guy from my high school I knew, and I was about to fight him straight up. I wasn't about to throw my right. And man, 80, thank you for the $10. The parents show you what goes on inside the house. The school records, the counseling record shows what goes on outside the house. And that's a really, really good point. If people had based the thing that kids do outside the house, that's what's happening in the house, you'd be shocked. You'd be shocked to know that these kids will pack that they want to change into in their backpack on their way out. Raised a certain way, but they're listening to other people, other groups outside the home. It happens all the time. Sometimes I really have met parents where once we got down to the nitty gritty and for what they could have done different, sometimes there isn't much. The kid just made a poor decision, and it may not always environment may not be the home environment. It may be the social environment in the school setting or in.
That's still, Jeff, that's still that's fault on the parents.
But what I'm saying is one thing to, I guess the best way I can say is, once kids turn that called puberty time transitional period, from let's say 12 to 16, say is instances where parents were neglectful, they weren't doing their quote-unquote job, they didn't know where their child was. But there's other times where the parents were very aware where their child is, have consequences. They did raise their kids a certain way, and their kid just still made a poor decision. They'll say it's the parents' fault at the end of the day because it's their child and they're minor, but I do view those parents differently. So
But that's in the minority.
Yeah, but that's majority. I'm just saying, when you've done enough teacher conferences, sitting and working with parents, hell, which parents are trying, doing their part. It's like a therapy. Like, therapist, I'm not going to do more work than you're willing to do for me. Case with situations like this where Crimson, I agree with you. We don't have enough information to really parent styles of these situations. I'm like, shit, if we're gonna look at Jeff Metcalf that he made afterwards, out of my brain is like, well, he's upset. He lost his son. Look at how the crowd and social media has been talking and treating him as his family. And the other side is, well, no wonder his son thought that he could act and move and talk the way he did. I'm not going to go that far. Just because, to me personally, I just don't have enough information on his parents to really make that judgment call. But I agree with you, Mika. In the end, it's still going to fall back on the parents if they're minors. That's just the nature of the beast. And then a couple of quick more. Clock H back, $5. Black men miss Anita is right. Be putting yourselves in these positions for them to jam you up. Already no consequences. H back again. As someone who is trained in Muay Thai and powerlifting, if I fight you, you're pretty much gone. Always de-escalate because you taste that Superman-like strength. And that's exactly what I just said. Guys who are being trained and taught a certain way, they're being trained on how to have self-discipline. And it's a comprehensive thing. It's not just about fighting and defending yourself. It's about structure, de-escalation. There's just different skills that I think men and boys would learn if they get exposed to that stuff earlier. Rika Media, thank you for the $5. Is there factual evidence or credible source supporting that Andrew Anthony is not the biological father of Karmelo Anthony? I don't know. I've just heard that the guy who's been in the role of stepfather up until this point. But Rod, thank you for the $9.99. I coach my sons that you aren't walking away from a dangerous or foolish person. Also tell them never to use a weapon unless you're willing to take a life and the consequences that comes with. Marcus Evans, what's going on, my bro? Salute to Jeff and the phenomenal, beautiful ladies on the panel tonight. High Tolerance, thank you for the $20. These suburban kids are going to Bayside High, not East Side. And Karmelo Anthony had no need for a weapon on school grounds whatsoever. Frisco is far from just. And then last few, in Cam Dad, thank you for the $10. I raised my son from birth. He was one of the best amateur boxers in the world. He is now a pro, 7-0. Kudos to you, brother. Six knockouts. He is also only active American fighter with a master's degree. Shout out to you, man, for raising your son the right way, and let's hopefully he can continue to kill it with his professional career and stay out of trouble. Ryan, again, thank you for the $199. I agree with CC, but Austin wasn't worth crashing out over. I'll say it again. I agree, but being in his shoes and not seeing the video evidence, I can really only go off of so much. I don't know. To see like this kid is surrounded. If he's trying to break through the crowd and people keep throwing him back in, that's a very different conversation. All we have to go off with when none of us have seen the video is what the witnesses have said. What the witnesses are saying that Austin said, I'm not trying to fight you, bro. If people are saying that he's claims of like touch me or I'm not leaving and this and that, didn't matter what, that Austin should not have put his hands on him. But I didn't see the video to know truly how real the threat would have been. I just don't know. Based off of the information we've been presented so far,
right?
Like at minimum he was going to get a manslaughter charge, if not worse.
There's more information out there, though.
So that needs to be addressed. Thank you. Draco again with another $100 banger. The term premeditated is not used in Texas law. Section 1902 of the Texas Penal Code. Standard murder occurs when a person intentionally or knowingly causes the death of an individual or intends to cause serious bodily injury.
In his past life,
huge factor.
was a simple man who loved playing his violin.
It went the way that it went as far as sentencing. The best important, especially the year by far. Salute everyone. Thank you, Marcus, for that. King Cam Dad, $5. Dr. St. James, I would like to speak with you about a program to have our boys in boxing. Ever fall outside the ring, please let's talk. King Cam, feel free to email me at askbrother@gmail.com. I definitely want to hear more of your thoughts about this because I think it's true. I've seen and talked to enough boys, fathers were missing, realize that I think this is the missing piece. It doesn't fix everything. I think a group of boys that are more prone to knowing how to take a punch, do something, it probably changes our perspectives on just how we even engage in certain spaces. And then last but not least, 80, thank you for the $10. The cheerleaders were afraid of the Metcalf boys because of how they were treated by them. Ever heard of cheerleaders being afraid of the team? Well, real quick, I don't know enough about this information, but I will say, I don't even know anything about this whole cheerleaders being afraid of the Met, because this was a track and field from last I recall. So I don't know what cheerleaders really do with track and field. So I don't know where you would have gotten this information that students in the school have something to say that's been going viral. Just didn't happen to see it yet. But again, maybe you have. So I do appreciate you, sir, for the $10. So y'all, to close things out in a synced way, what is it that you hope going forward and people at home, what do you think people learn from this? Let's do Anna, and then Anita, and then Miss Misty to close us out.
Had a lot of judgment before they even get to court. We already pick sides. And always rush to pick sides. Sometimes we gotta hear the facts. Can't always just go off our own emotions, like I keep saying. And yes, somebody lost their life. A person's child went to jail. It's all about this for real. Like, we still got choices. Each boy suffered some type of consequence. Going to just one-sided.
He can't witness.
Yeah. Oh, you comes in.
We are living in a post-social media world, so a lot of people see that, and I think the thing that the public needs to take from it, because I can't talk about what the families take. They take whatever they took from this because it affected them directly. We are indirectly affected at all. We only have our opinion. My thing would be to think critically. Critical thinking means that you have information in front of you and you make it make sense. You make it make sense. Everything that's said, necessarily the complete truth. Like I said on my show earlier, we have things that come to us that might be substantiated facts or things of that nature. We also have to take a situation and put it in the real world. Take it off paper in your mind. In the real world. Now, how did that play out? Because we're not the judge or the attorneys. We don't have Most of us are not lawyers. We have not gone to law school. The most we can do is read the statutes and the law of that state and try to come to a conclusion. We are not paid, nor have we been trained to interpret law. The vast majority of us lawyers, I'm not talking about. So we can't even, we like to even play with that. What the law said, you even know how to interpret that. Most people don't. If you're not a lawyer, if you don't work in the legal system to that level, you don't know how to interpret law. You don't even know how the court is going to interpret the law. So we are literally the court of public opinion. Most of us are laymen, and we don't really have the educational access for all of that. So that's why I say just think critically. If we're going to use common sense, which is not so common these days, use it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, what about you, Anita?
Like I said at the start of this, you know, there are no winners, right? And there are lessons I think that those of us who are watching, our children are watching, can learn from this. And I'm hoping that they learn, that they take information away from this entire situation. It is a very sad situation. This and the other case, the young 14-year-old being shot by the store owner, a sad situation that we continue to find ourselves in. And if we need to educate our kids some more, I'm not really sure always what the answer is, but we do need to take these opportunities to talk to our children. My kids, I got their thoughts and their opinions on both of these cases and what happened. Saying it's a good opportunity to talk to children. These examples to talk to your children. Let them know, you know, this is what's going on. This is what's happening out here, and feel like it's something that can't be avoided. Then talk to them about what they can do to protect themselves and to protect their life and the life of others. So if nothing else, you know, I use these cases as an opportunity to talk to my kids, to get their thoughts and opinions about it, and to just impart my wisdom. But I've been doing that. Been doing that their entire life. You have something to lose, and I need you to act like it.
Yeah. What about you, Mika?
I want to say this. Agree with, you know, points that I made. If we're going to talk about just then, we don't need law to interpret that. We don't need to interpret that, right? People are going out buying how to do this as a mother, how to do that. You have it innate in you. And if we're going to rely on common sense, which should be common, and you can look at how children act, okay? Look at how children act. You can look at how the parents act. You can look at all of that stuff, come up with a theory about what's going on. Because for some reason in today's world, it's, I don't know. In the day, plenty of grandparents, plenty of people in your neighborhood, plenty the village. See you doing something? No, this, that, and the third. They would understand how you were moving, what you were doing. The parents do. Late, maybe they're this, that. You can do all of that and come up with what may be going on. So, figure out why now everything is pretty much almost on this whole, on making the boys very, very, very soft. Like society of these young males. It's really being coddled. Of to them that, yeah, if I get into an altercation with another man, this could end in death. So let me try to do something a different way. Let me try to do this. Let me try to do that. And that usually comes from the father, which is the reason why I pointed father. Normally, young men that have decent fathers do this already. That's the first teacher. Oh,
What?
it's not a point to say bad parents, but there's something going on in that household where from a 1 to a 100. See, there's something going on there. And grades, 2 jobs, is not going to tell you exactly what's going on. And it doesn't also alleviate bad character. So I just think as a society, we have to get back to having boys to be good men. Not try to, like we would do girls, because it's not doing them any good. We're actually making a generation of boys that going to be able to handle themselves well. Or they're going to protect and provide for a wife if they don't even know how to. They don't know how to protect themselves without putting themselves further into trouble. So I just think there's a conversation that needs to be had, and probably men, women have to stop making excuses for babies just because they're our babies. Tell them the truth. Go outside, and nobody else cares that our babies.
I appreciate your perspective. Grew up real quick for everybody that doesn't know. I was born in Philly, raised in Jersey from 8 to 18, and moved back to Philly up until 2 years ago. So Philly and Jersey were my only two nations. Like I said, suburbs, hood, I've lived in all three. And about 14 on, how I looked, I guess starting to get attention from young women, it was very normal for guys to try to challenge me. It just was a thing. And I had to grow up very quickly at reality just by flirting with the wrong chick or being in the wrong place at the wrong time, having an anger issue on my end. It got a lot of breaks in life. A lot of guys who weren't shown certain things or taught certain things making decisions like this. The reason why perhaps we haven't is somebody else walked away or somebody else intervened on our behalf. Don't think aimed at Karmelo Anthony and everybody that ends up in situations like him, bringing a weapon, back and forth with someone when you know you have a weapon, waiting until it escalates. You can keep saying that that's the best that could have happened and that's the best he could have done. I tell you, as somebody who's been in very similar scenarios, who has been in altercations, who has been threatened, who sometimes probably did threaten. Our young black boys and men that their only options are nth degree, supposedly. In my mind, that's basically what a lot of people are saying. Sound like they're communicating. And say this: I don't think most of you that think that way actually care. Or these boys, or these families, or these men. You're not paying their bail. You're not paying their fines. You're not stepping in when that boy is now gone or they lost their man or their husband. You don't deal with the consequences of their court-ordered services that I and many people like me have had to do. So you don't think there's any other narratives, well, not narratives, there's any other strategies that black boys can look into and try to implement at times. It's not always going to work. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I think that thinking that there's something else these boys could do different than what we're seeing in some of our communities, if that's a form of white supremacy or whatever it is you want to say, please don't breed. Please stop having kids. If you're not going to put them in a position to where they can be exposed to something different, you think that this was the best that could have happened in this scenario, or if it's even worse, if you think, yeah, we got one. They got one. If you're anywhere in that, please don't breed. Don't have kids. The rest of society and the rest of us who are actually doing the work, we're the ones that have to deal with it. Again, it's an unfortunate situation. I hope that for everybody that's watching it, they felt we did a good job of covering it from all of the different angles. He's on the panel, listening in different perspectives. I appreciate that although we didn't always align, that everybody was very respectful of each other's perspectives. Early watching. If you haven't done so, please make sure that you subscribe everybody's pages that you see currently on the screen, and feel free to hype this up and make sure that you share it with at least 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 people. Everybody have. We'll see y'all on the other.
I don't know what to think about that one.
Lemus would always look after his only friend. Let's hear one more Action Brother podcast with the Sinner and Saints. That ain't even dropped yet. 17th. Alright, well. Let me see, I'm gonna push forward in this a little bit more. I'm about to get on some Red Dead, go ahead and try to kill Micah and Dutch. Olle felt a chill as he saw the warnings for desperate mothers carrying their infants. They pleaded with them not to carry out the unspeakable acts they had set their minds to.
Listen to the rest of this Zoe Williams. I've been waiting to listen to it, matter of fact, so let me fire that up. Alright, let me see.
creativity a form of intelligence.
Wow.
But it.
Okay. So
then we going
left
to
hemisphere
Red Dead
controls the right side of the body. Right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. Left hemisphere, logic, reasoning, all of that, right?
Yeah.
Right hemisphere, creativity, artistry, sound, colors,
Black
visuals.
Folk.
Exactly.
Because
Black folk.
This is historically what a lot of the litigation was about inside of schools when they were testing for genius. They did not consider creativity a form of intelligence.
Wow.
But it is actually a higher form of intelligence because it's something that can't be taught in many cases, right? Genius. Yes.
I love that. We got somebody on the line. You already know who it is. Legendary Deaconess Nikki from the SIP. Come on in here, Nikki. Come on, food for thought. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic? I'm going to get out your way. Let me get out your way.
Sis, come.
Oh, this dynamic duo right here. Woo! So you said something interesting. You said earlier that we come from you. You got a rib missing.
Yeah, rib tip.
A McRib.
No, I'm just saying, biblically speaking.
Right.
Yep, and I'm tracking because what's interesting about what you said, if you follow that line of thinking, would it not make sense that men would desire their rib back?
Huh.
Oh, wow.
I'm just saying that if I lost a part of my body for women to be formed, I would seek that bone back, and there would be a great amount of care, inquisitiveness, love, sheltering, providence in the getting of that body part back to the inside of me. It also speaks to the mirror, because if you follow that thinking and you lost that part of you, it's now on the outside of you trying to get back a cohesive marriage of existence. Precious said there's a freedom when you are in the presence of that manhood. You've heard me say fool themselves unless or until they're in the presence of that manhood, because then you can relax, because you were designed to be in that environment where the manhood exists.
Keep going, Nikki.
I'm just saying that it when you think about individuation, that it represents that too to me, because if we came out of you in that line of thinking, and we are mirrors in our relationships, then you are looking on the outside in the mirror of the part of you that's trying to get back in. If you don't like your results, check your premises.
No, what you not gonna do, Nikki, is come in here and upset the apple cart. I see what Nikki is. Wait a minute. Hold on, Nikki. Is the mask... Wait a minute, hold on. Is the mask masculine and the shadow feminine?
It is not Nikki. Either or, it's both and.
Touche, yes. It is both and.
Wow. It's both and.
Yes.
Which is what makes this whole notion of messed up relationships ridiculous.
Right.
Stay right there. Wait. Stay right there. Don't go. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. Twilight Zone. We just entered into it. Listen, it's going down. Stay right here. The voice of reason is on complete fire.
Nikki from the SIP, you already know what it is. Precious. When we come forward, more from the VOR.
Stay loud.
Is there general differences between men and women on these tests?
So I published a study on 46,000 scans looking at gender.